It's 2:47 a.m. You know the exact time because you've checked your phone again. The blue light burns your retinas, but you can't look away. The world around you is wrapped in that heavy, weighted silence that only exists in the dead of night. Your city, your neighborhood, your home, everyone is asleep. Everyone except you. And right now, as you're listening to this, millions of other people are lying in beds just like yours, staring at ceilings just like yours, feeling exactly what you're feeling. You are not alone in this strange nocturnal ritual. You are part of an invisible army of the sleepless, all wrestling with the same midnight demons. But here's what no one tells you about this state. According to groundbreaking research from Oxford's Dr. Russell Foster, your brain's emotional processing centers are 60% more active during these exact hours. 2 to 4 a.m. What feels like torture is actually your brain entering its most emotionally intelligent state. Your body is an anchor of exhaustion, but your mind is a restless phantom, pacing the floors of your consciousness. It's not just replaying yesterday's awkward conversation, it's performing a full forensic analysis. The tone, the pauses, the micro-expression that lasted half a second. Did they seem annoyed when you said that thing about their haircut? Your 3 a.m. mind has enhanced the footage, slowed it down, analyzed it frame by frame like it's the Zapruder film. Sent a text message 6 hours ago. It was simple, casual. Sounds good. See you tomorrow. But now in the dark. Your phone shows red but no response. Your 3 a.m. mind transforms this into a full investigation. Was sounds good too enthusiastic? Too casual? Constructs elaborate theories? Maybe they're angry. Maybe they're crafting the perfect response. Maybe they've decided you're annoying and are slowly phasing you out of their life. A simple text becomes a referendum on your entire social worth. But what if I told you that this mental spiral, this thing you've been fighting, medicating, or feeling ashamed of, is actually a feature, not a bug? What if your sleepless mind isn't broken but brilliant? What if it's trying to give you access to insights and self-knowledge that your busy daytime brain simply can't reach? By the end of this journey together, we'll understand that your 3 a.m. consciousness isn't your enemy. It's your wisest teacher. And you'll learn how to transform these nocturnal storms from your greatest source of suffering into your most powerful tool for profound self-discovery. Because what you're experiencing isn't insomnia. It's what I call the 3 a.m. paradox. This is the 3 a.m. confession. It's a silent admission that happens when the sun goes down and your deepest, most complicated truths are finally allowed to speak. During the day, your mind is a bustling city full of noise and traffic and purpose. Meetings to attend, emails to answer, people to impress. Your consciousness is a fortress, guarded by the twin soldiers of logic and social expectation. The messy, inconvenient truths about who you really are, they're kept in the basement, under lock and key. But at night, the city empties. The noise stops, the guards go home, and the things you keep locked in the basement of your psyche begin to wander the empty streets. You're scrolling through Instagram stories at 2 a.m., which is already a questionable life choice. There's Sarah from college at another dinner party with people you don't recognize. There's your coworker posting from a weekend trip with their squad. Your 3 a.m. mind starts running brutal calculations. How many social events did you attend this month? How many photos are you tagged in? How many squads do you belong to? The math feels personal and devastating. doubts about your career path, regrets over friendships that have faded, profound aching loneliness that feels both terrifying and strangely beautiful. These aren't just thoughts, they're presences. They don't just knock on the door. They sit down at your kitchen table, pour themselves a drink, and demand to be heard. It feels like a haunting. You feel like a passive observer to your own racing mind. A passenger in a car with no brakes, heading towards a philosophical wall. You know, logically, that your worry about that one text message is blown out of proportion. But the feeling is 100% real. You probably tried to fight it using daytime strategies. Stop thinking about this. This is irrational. Just go to sleep. But that's like trying to put out a forest fire with a water pistol. That's the first secret. You can't fight it because you're using the wrong tools. The language of your 3 a.m. mind isn't logic. It's metaphor. It's not reason. It's emotion. So who is the architect of this strange nocturnal theater? To understand that, we need to take a journey into the physical landscape of your brain. Let's imagine your brain as a massive corporation. During your busy day, the CEO is your prefrontal cortex, the PFC. It sits in the corner office at the front of your brain, obsessed with spreadsheets, schedules, and socially appropriate behavior. Most importantly, the PFC is the ultimate filter, walking around saying, "No, that's a silly idea. Don't worry about that. Behave yourself. People are watching." But when you're deeply relaxed in meditation or sleep deprived in the middle of the night, something remarkable happens. The CEO goes on vacation. Neuroscientists have a name for this: transient hypofrontality. Let's just call it the 3 a.m. mind. Here's the mind-bending part. Dr. Arne Dietrich, the cognitive neuroscientist who coined this term, discovered that this exact same brain state is present during flow states, creative breakthroughs, and profound meditative insights. Your exhausted brain isn't failing. It's accessing the same consciousness that produces humanity's greatest discoveries. This isn't just theory. In 2011, researchers Merrick Wyeth and Rose Axe made a startling discovery. People are significantly more creative during their non-optimal times of day. Night owls, forced to work in the morning people, staying up late. Both groups showed enhanced creative problem solving. Why? Because when your logical filter is weakened, your mind makes connections it would never make during peak performance hours. The logical censoring CEO has left the building. Now the rest of the company can finally express itself. The passionate artists in the creative department, the wise archivists in the memory department, the anxious risk assessment team, they're all having a massive chaotic meeting in the main lobby. There's no one there to say that's a bad idea. The connections between different parts of your brain become fluid, associative, dreamlike. Dr. Sung-Shik Yu's Harvard study revealed the mechanism. After 35 hours of sleep deprivation, connection between your logical prefrontal cortex and your amygdala, your emotional alarm center weakens dramatically. Meanwhile, the amygdala becomes 60% more reactive than in the well-rested brain. Think of it this way. The amygdala is your emotional gas pedal. The prefrontal cortex is your brake. At 3 a.m., if your foot is flooring the gas pedal and the brake lines have been cut. This is why a small worry from the day can feel like a life-altering catastrophe at night. The emotional part of your brain is shouting. And the logical part that would normally say, hey, let's look at this rationally, isn't answering the phone. Furthermore, this state activates what neuroscientists call the default mode network. Your brain's autobiographer. It's what thinks about yourself, your past, your future, your relationships. During the day, it's kept in check. But at 3 a.m., the DMN can access the vast archives of your memory and pair any experience with the hyperactive emotion of your amygdala. So if you feel like your emotions are overwhelming and your thoughts are illogical, you're not broken. You're giving a scientifically accurate description of the 3 a.m. mind. Your brain has shifted from logical problem solving to deep emotional associative exploration. That feeling you thought was anxiety, it's actually the sound of the locks coming off your mind, and the first door it opens. Leads to the most fundamental question of all. Who are you? Really? Here's where it gets truly fascinating. Your 3 a.m. mind doesn't think random thoughts. It's drawn to specific puzzles like a moth to a flame. Paradoxes that break logic in a state where logic is already broken. Let us examine the first one, an ancient paradox from the Greek historian Plutarch that has haunted philosophers for thousands of years. The Ship of Theseus. The legendary ship that carried Theseus and the youth of Athens back from Crete was preserved by the Athenians, who gradually replaced its decaying planks with new timber. Eventually, every single piece of the original ship had been replaced. The question that tormented ancient minds, and still torments yours at 3 a.m. Is it still the same ship? But wait, it gets worse. Imagine that someone collected all the old, discarded planks and rebuilt the original ship from those pieces. Now there are two ships. Which one is the real Ship of Theseus? The one made of new materials that never left the harbor? Or the one made of original materials that was completely disassembled? Logic breaks down. Both answers feel right and wrong. The paradox has no solution. It's only the strange, uncomfortable feeling of reality becoming fluid. This isn't just philosophy for old men in togas. This is your mind at 2:17 a.m., running the paradox of the self. You're visiting your parents, sleeping in your childhood bedroom. The posters are different, but the corner where you used to read is the same. Your 3 a.m. mind pulls up a perfect HD memory of yourself at 12, sitting in that exact spot, completely convinced you knew what you wanted to be when you grew up. That child felt so certain, so passionate, so authentic. Now, you feel like you're wearing a costume of yourself, playing a role that doesn't quite fit. Here, as the biological reality. Every single cell in your body has been replaced since that childhood memory. You are literally made of different matter. Your neural pathways have been rewired by every experience, every relationship, every moment of joy and pain. You look at old photos, and your 3 a.m. mind asks with genuine curiosity, is that still me? The hopes that person had, the things they believed, the friendships they thought were forever, many are gone, replaced by new hopes, beliefs, people. The daytime brain dismisses this immediately. Of course, it's still me. Same memories, same social security number, but the 3 a.m. mind lingers. Fascinated by the deeper truth, your identity is not a solid object. It's a process, a flowing, changing story. This exploration brings powerful emotions. Grief for that younger person's innocence, betrayal that you didn't live up to their dreams, or profound relief that you're no longer burdened by their anxieties and naivete. Your 3 a.m. mind isn't trying to solve this paradox. It's trying to feel the implications. What does it mean to be a process? Instead of a person, this questioning feels unsettling. It's like your sense of self is turning to sand. But your brain isn't doing this to torment you. It's doing this for a very specific reason. We'll return to later. And even if you can begin to make peace with who you are now, the 3 a.m. mind immediately presents you with an even more painful gallery, the museum of all the people you could have been. We live in a world that worships choice. More options equals more freedom, we're told. But at 3 a.m., your mind reveals the hidden cost of that freedom through what psychologist Barry Schwartz calls the paradox of choice. It's Sunday night. Technically Monday morning. Tomorrow you return to a job that pays bills, but doesn't ignite your soul. Your 3 a.m. mind starts the weekly audit. How many Sundays have you felt this exact dread? How many more will you feel it? Is this what your 20-year-old self imagined adulthood would be? But it goes deeper. The career path you didn't take. What if you'd become a teacher instead of an accountant? The city you didn't move to. The person you didn't say I love you to, or the one you did. Your mind becomes a master filmmaker with unlimited budget, constructing alternate timelines with heartbreaking detail. It's not vague ideas, full highlight reels. The hypothetical apartment in that other city, sunlight streaming through windows, the face of children you might have had, the satisfaction from that other career. Barry Schwartz identifies why this happens. Opportunity cost. Every choice means rejecting millions of alternatives. When you look back at major turning points, the weight of unlived lives feels crushing. Your 3 a.m. mind, with its weakened logical filter, experiences the loss of these alternate selves as real grief. There's also the difference between maximizers and satisficers. Satisficers seek good enough and find contentment. Maximizers need the absolute best possible option. During the day, you might be a satisficer, but at night, your 3 a.m. mind becomes a frantic, perfectionistic maximizer, convinced a perfect life was possible, and you somehow missed it. This comes from a primal fear that you lost out on a happier, more authentic version of yourself existing right now in another timeline. You're haunted not by what happened, but by what didn't happen. So if you feel paralyzed by past decisions, drowning in what-ifs, you're not uniquely flawed. Your brain is caught in a well-documented psychological trap of modern life. The 3 a.m. mind fixates on this because it's grappling with fundamental human sorrow, irreversible time, and the burden of freedom. And this feeling of being trapped by your unique path often leads to an even deeper sensation, being utterly, fundamentally alone. It's 1:45 a.m. You open Instagram, a subconscious tick, a friend's story. Party, vacation, group of laughing people. You weren't there. Maybe you weren't invited. Maybe you were busy. Logically, no big deal. So why does it feel like a punch to the gut? Why does it feel like a fundamental statement on your social worth? You're not just being insecure. You're experiencing a mathematical reality called the friendship paradox. On average, your friends have more friends than you do. It sounds impossible, but it's true for almost everyone. Here's how it works. Imagine a network of 5 people. Person A has 1 friend, Person B has 1 friend, Person C has 1 friend, Person D has 1 friend, but Person E has 4 friends. When you calculate the average, most people in this network have one friend. But when you ask each person how many friends do your friends have, the answer is much higher. Why? Because highly connected people appear in everyone's friend list. Person E shows up in 4 different friend networks. So when people look around at their friends, they see person E, who has way more connections than they do. The math creates an illusion that everyone else is more popular. But here's where it gets truly devastating. Research by Christina Lerman at USC found that social media algorithms amplify this paradox by 300 to 400%. The platforms designed to connect us are mathematically programmed to make us feel alone. When you scroll at night, algorithms show you content getting high engagement created by the highly connected social hubs. You're not seeing a random sample of your friends' lives. You're getting a curated tour of the most popular, most active, most successful people in your network. UCLA neuroscientist Dr. Matthew Lieberman discovered that social rejection activates the same brain regions. It's physical pain. Your 3 a.m. social anxiety isn't just in your head. Your brain literally experiences loneliness as injury. Here's what's truly mind-bending. The people who seem most connected, hundreds of friends, thousands of followers, packed social calendars, often report feeling the most lonely. Why? Because surface-level connection actually prevents deep connection. When you're always performing, always managing your image, you never get to be truly known. Your feeling of comparison isn't a reflection of your failure to connect. It's a statistical artifact, a quirk in the network's architecture, engineered by math and supercharged by technology. You are not less valuable. You're seeing a distorted picture of reality. We've seen the questions your 3 a.m. mind asks about identity, regret, loneliness. We've seen how it uses paradoxes to explore the deepest chasms of human experience. But none of that provides relief. Without understanding the most crucial piece, why does your brain do this? So far, this might seem like a bleak picture, a brain state dragging you through failures, identity crises, and isolation. It feels like your mind is your worst enemy, a broken machine designed to make you suffer. But that's because we've been judging the night by the rules of the day. We've assumed the goal is to solve the paradoxes. That was never the goal. The true purpose of the 3 a.m. mind is not to find answers. It's to ask questions so deeply, so relentlessly, that the part of you that needs answers, what we call the ego, finally gives up. It's to ask questions so profound they dissolve the asker. The logical CEO of your brain is also home to your ego. The I, the narrator of your life story, the part that feels separate from the world, that needs to be right, needs a coherent identity. This ego is essential for daily function, but it's also a cage. The paradoxes are like relentless waves, crashing against that cage. They're unsolvable by linear logic, like trying to grab water or nail shadows to the floor. Your 3 a.m. mind isn't trying to grab the water. It's teaching you to swim in it. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow, repressed parts of ourselves we deny because they're messy or painful. Your daytime mind is a master of repression, shoving regret, doubt, fear into the basement of your psyche. The 3 a.m. mind is when the shadow picks the lock and comes upstairs to be heard. It runs the paradox of choice not to torture you with regret, but to force you to feel the grief of unlived lives, so you can finally let that baggage go. It runs the Ship of Theseus not to create identity crisis, but to help you release desperate need for fixed identity, embracing the truth that you are a process of becoming. This is your mind's sacred nightly maintenance routine. Emotional and psychological integration, processing the complex. Contradictory data of being human that your busy daytime CEO files under too complicated, deal with later. Well, it's 3 a.m. is later. When you started this journey, you were a prisoner of your 3 a.m. thoughts. Now you understand the mechanism, the questions, the profound purpose. But knowledge isn't enough. What if you could transform this from passive suffering into active discovery? The next time you find yourself floating in quiet darkness and feel that familiar mental roar begin, you have a choice. See it as anxiety to fight, or as an invitation to communicate with the deepest parts of yourself. First, welcome the state. When you feel that chest tightening, take a slow breath and consciously reframe, I am not anxious. My 3 a.m. mind is active. My prefrontal cortex is resting, and deeper consciousness is coming online. Simply naming it the 3 a.m. mind removes the label of disorder and replaces it with opportunity. Second, externalize the question. Keep a notebook by your bed. When a paradoxical thought arrives, a what if about the past, identity questions, waves of loneliness, don't try to solve it in your head. That's wrestling with smoke. Write the question down, verbatim. Get it out of the echo chamber, onto the patient page. Dr. Judson Brewer's research at Yale and Brown shows that overactive default mode networks create sticky thoughts and rumination loops. Writing externalizes these thoughts, breaking the cycle and regulating the DM naturally. Third, follow the feeling, not the thought. The thoughts are just vehicles. The destination is the emotion underneath. After writing the question, ask, what is the feeling here? The paradox of choice isn't about logic. It's about regret. The Ship of Theseus isn't metaphysics. It's grief or dislocation. Harvard psychologist Dr. Susan David's research on emotional agility shows that people who try to avoid difficult emotions are less resilient than those who learn to sit with discomfort. Your 3 a.m. emotional processing isn't weakness. Strength training for your psyche. Imagine it. Next time you wake at 3 a.m., the silence isn't menacing. It's spacious. You feel the familiar pull of a paradox, but instead of resisting, calm, curiosity arises. Hello, old friend. What are we exploring tonight? You reach for your notebook, write the question, identify the feeling, breathe with it. You're not solving anything. You're listening, holding space for your own soul. You are no longer haunted by the night. You're learning from it, using it to heal. When you started this journey, you thought your 3 a.m. mind was broken, that those spinning thoughts were a sign of malfunction. Now, you understand they're the opposite. A sign of a mind gone deep, not wrong. The paradoxes your mind craves at 3 a.m. are not problems to be solved. They are koans, sacred riddles from your own deep consciousness. Their purpose isn't to be answered, but to exhaust the part of you that desperately demands simple answers to a complex life. What you experience in the lonely hours isn't insomnia. It's a biological imperative, a non-negotiable invitation to know yourself, not as a fixed object, but as a flowing story. A beautiful, messy, contradictory, glorious process. A changing ship on a vast, mysterious, beautiful ocean. So let it sail. If this resonated with you, share one paradox your 3 a.m. mind gets stuck on in the comments. You'll quickly see you're not alone in this nocturnal exploration. In our shared questions, we find the truest answer to the paradox of loneliness. We are all in this together.